and you go into the internet cafe, and it's tiny. It's one of those really small ones, and there are 3 cabinas, and they're like the size of a coffin, and you're soaked. Empapado. This was always one of your favorite words. Do you remember learning it? You went into class and you said to your Spanish teacher, "Estoy muy, muy, muy mojado. Más que mojado. Demasiado mojado. ¿Cómo se dice? Hay una palabra." And that's how you learned, empapado. Estabas empapado. And you go into the internet cafe and you say, "I need a cabina." And you go in and, you can barely fit your shoulders in this cabina. And you sit down on that tiny little stool. And you pick up the phone. And it's hot and it's pouring outside and you're really wet. And you look at the receiver and you think, what kinds of calls do people use you for? And how many people have held that phone up to their cheekbone and spit into the receiver and sweated on it? And, what kinds of questions were they asking and what kind of words were traveling along that line, that cord? And you use it to call Delta. And you get through. And this woman answers the phone. Her name is Carol. And she says, "Good evening. Thank you for calling Delta. My name is Carol. How can I help you?" And I said, "Carol, I can't go home." And she's like, "What?" And I start crying. You start crying. You start crying and you say, "Carol, I can't go home," you say. Do you remember? And there's, your hair is dripping down your shirt and your jeans are plastered to your thighs and you can barely fit in this little coffin cabin. And you're talking on this really old, dirty phone and you say, "Carol, I'm not done here, Carol. I can't fly to New York tomorrow." So, Carol, Saint Carol, brings up your flight information and you start searching for flights and she says, "How much longer do you want to stay?" And without thinking about what your professors in New York will say or what your parents will say or what your friends will say, you say, "I can't go home for another year."